Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is HD Starcraft, and I'm back for another Heart of the Swarm broadcast. And today, I thought I'd bring you guys a match from Korea. We've got a Korean Protoss player here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, Whirlwind. And in the top right-hand corner, we have the Blue Zerg player by the name of Nooks, who was formerly called MYI Sony. For those of you guys who watched him play a couple of games on my YouTube channel, a pretty talented StarCraft 2 player. And thought I'd go ahead and bring this replay to you guys. Once again, if you guys have any sweet replays you'd like for me to cast, feel free to send them in to HDreplays@gmail.com. And yeah, a couple of interesting developments have been occurring in the StarCraft 2 world. Blizzard has been thinking about buffing Protoss a little bit. It'll be the first actual real change that'll be coming into StarCraft 2 ever since Heart of the Swarm was released. It's actually been fairly quiet on the Blizzard frontier. You know, usually they're very active with their updates, but I think they've been sitting back and really taking a look at the scene and seeing what race really needs a buff or what race really needs a nerf. And looks like you Protoss players might be getting some buffs in the very near future. But I'll wait to make an announcement until it's actually finalized, because we all know that Blizzard likes to juggle things around a little bit, and things aren't always solidified. Anyways, we do have Nooks here opening up with a pretty quick extractor and a spawning pool, so it looks like he's going to be going for early speed. The Protoss player in question here, I'm not entirely sure who he is, but I do know that he is 1100 ranked Masters in Korea, which basically means he's very, very good, and would stomp like 99% of the players outside of Korea. You know, Masters in Korea is like Grandmasters in North America, so it's a very high ranking here, and this should be a pretty good matchup. I'm interested to see what is going to happen here, because Nooks did open up with a fairly quick gas and pool, and he is mining one drone on the gas. He has enough for Zergling speed. Now he's continuing to mine one drone on the gas. He actually had 3 on originally, so it looks like he's going to be going for early Zergling speed, and with the gas that he's slowly accumulating right now, we might be seeing a Lair Tech or maybe a Roach Warren or Baneling Nest, and not too sure what yet, but I think that our Korean Protoss here has got to have a bit of an edge, because you know, he got the Nexus down, he's got the Forge coming as well, and as long as he can prevent any early aggression here at the front door, I think he'll be alright. But it looks like Nooks is gonna go for a hatchery after all, so maybe the early gas and the early speed here was just kind of a defensive Zergling speed, you know, designed to attain map control. And we'll see what happens, but I do feel like with this kind of opening, Nooks is a little bit set back. He will need to grab another hatchery fairly quickly here, otherwise he'll be in a little bit of trouble. And we do have this drone that's kind of just lazily staring off into outer space, but it just now started to mine some gas, and another extractor is coming up. Wow. So Nooks, aka MYI Sony, is planning to go for something here with this early gas. He could be thinking about going for quick Lair, and there we go. Lair is now on the way. And usually when Zergs do this, with this kind of build, I mean, there's only a couple of things that could be possible. It's like a quick Spire or a quick Nidus Worm, and I'm not entirely sure what Nooks is going for here, but the problem is, you know, his early gas was scouted out by the Korean Protoss, and we'll see what Mr. Korea does here, but I would imagine he's gonna make sure to keep his base safe from any type of possible incursion, whether it be, you know, Mutalisks or Nidus Worms. And, you know, photon cannons are going to be really valuable here. They're typically really valuable anytime you scout a Zerg player going for quick gas. It's just prudent to throw up a couple of photon cannons, you know, in your mineral lines and at the front door. And we'll see what happens here, but the problem now for Protoss is you can't really scout. He doesn't have a mothership core. He didn't go for a quick Robo Bay. It would be pretty hard to get a Robo Bay out that quickly once you already expand, obviously, but he doesn't really have the capability to scout and find out exactly what Nooks is going for. Nooks is going for a Nidus Worm, so there we have it. And look at this, Mr. Korean Protoss is going to be going for the White Rust style. I guess you can't really call it a White Rust style because it's so popular against Zerg. It's basically the double Stargate into Sky Toss. And if he can get the Void Rays out in time here, or even, well, the Oracle cannot hit a Nidus Worm, but the Void Rays can. and if he can get a couple of Void Rays out, then I think he'll be alright against possible Niduses. This Overlord is just hiding up here at the top corner of the map, at the top corner of the base, excuse me, and you know, Mr. Korean Protoss here has no idea that that there is an Overlord there, and he has no idea that there's a Nidus Swarm with Zerglings and Zergling speed incoming, and here we go. And the problem is the Void Rays are not going to be out in time, and they might be able to kill off the Nidus Swarm, but the problem is there's going to be Zerglings running around inside the base, and I don't know if Korea guy is going to be able to hold this off. There's even queens coming in to implant creep tumors, and now the mothership core is on the way. It should be able to come out in time, but it's not going to help all that much when it comes to this many Zerglings. Our Protoss player will need to get some zealots out of his gateway. He's only got one gateway to work with. It looks like the pylon now under attack. If the pylon goes down, then the Korean Protoss is in a lot of trouble, but he gets his Void Rays out just in time. And those Void Rays, had they not come out before that pylon fell, and I think this game would have been GG. But as it stands, I do believe that our Protoss player will be able to hold this off for Korea, and he will be able to push these queens back into the Nidus Swarm to go back home from whence they came. And now it looks like, yeah, the Nidus Swarm is going to go down. So the damage inflicted by these Zerglings, and you know, I'm not sure if it actually adds up to an advantage for the Zerg player. He only killed 4 drones, and you have to consider the investment here. A Nidus Swarm, and all those Zerglings, and really, I don't think he killed enough. And if you look at the units lost tab, he's actually lost more than the Protoss player has. And while, you know, the one good thing to come out of this is he has been able to scout and see, oh, you've gone double Stargate, he'll be able to get his air defense up. I do think that that Nooks here is going to be in some trouble. He just doesn't have you know, the macro, the economy, I don't think, to stand toe-to-toe with the Sky Toss right now. And actually, I feel like if Mr. Korea wants to go ahead and go for another expansion right now, he probably could, because, you know, most Zerg players, when they fail at this kind of attack, this kind of an attempt, they're going to try to macro to get back on even terms. And you can see Nooks here, is he droning up? Yeah, he is. He's making 7 drones right now. He's trying to macro up. So this would be actually the perfect time for, yeah, there we go. That's the perfect time for Mr. Korea to go for another expansion. And so he's got another Nexus coming down right now. And the only thing he's got to get rid of now are these creep tumors, which shortly we will have an observer coming out. And so he'll be able to take these down and clear out all the tumors going on inside of his base, the cancerous growth. So what is Nooks gonna do now? He is undersupplied compared to the Protoss. He is going for Hydralisks, which is so smart. I feel like if you're gonna be facing up against Protoss Air, then Hydras are the weapon of choice. But the problem is his macro good enough now after really kind of not doing enough damage with that Nidus? Is he good enough to get back in this game? We'll see. That Zergling there is going to be able to kill off the probe, which is a nice small victory right there before the Zealot takes him down. Nexus, though, is on the way, and Nooks was able to scout that out, so he knows that that expansion is coming. Let me go ahead and bring up the scoreboard for you guys. Nooks, the blue Zerg player, of course, and I dubbed the red Protoss Mr. Korea on the bottom right-hand corner, or on the left side of the scoreboard. So, yes, Hydras are coming out right now with +1/+1 on the way. Protoss does not have +1 weapons yet. He will need to get +1 air coming pretty soon here, considering he's going for so much air force. And I'm surprised he hasn't actually researched one of these upgrades yet at the cybernetics score. And it looks like he's going to be able to take out an Overlord right here. We do have this Nexus looking pretty good. You know, at this point, I would feel like Nooks might be best served trying to sneak out another hatchery, or trying to maybe go for like an Overlord drop or something, because maybe an Overlord drop wouldn't actually be all that effective considering there's so many Void Rays here. It's kind of a hard spot to be in if you're Zerg, because you don't know if you should be aggressive, you don't know if you should be macroing, because the power of an air force like this, if it attacks you and you don't have enough forces, you could lose a hatchery very quickly once all these Void Rays, you know, turn on their prismatic alignment and they all focus down a building or units. And Nooks here, I think he's just gonna have to play defensively and hope he gets a good engagement here. He's got a lot of queens, which is going to help immensely, and it looks like Mr. Korea probably will not want to attack into that many queens. In fact, the queen count right now at 5 queens and 13 Hydras, so that is more than enough air force, anti-air force to deal with those Void Rays. And now we've got Infestors coming out as well. So I do think Nooks' anti-air army is looking much better now. He should be able to combat the Void Rays coming out from Mr. Korea. but still, then again, it is only 3 bases to 3 bases, and Nooks needs another hatchery, and there we go. We have another hatchery on the way. Do note Colossus with extended thermal lance is coming out, so Mr. Korea wisely not going full-on Air Force. He's going to be adding on Colossus here to deal with those Hydras, which is prudent, very, very smart. You don't want to fight up against Hydras without a few Colossus to back you up. And meanwhile, we do have a hive coming inside the main base as well for Nooks, who's adding on a couple more macro hatcheries. And this is how Zerg kind of plays in the late game now. You want to throw up a bunch of macro hatcheries. It's just a great way to have continuous larva spawn, and you don't need to worry about injecting larva with your queens. You know, if you forget to inject larva, it's okay. You've got hatcheries to kind of back you up. So that's good for him, but look at Mr. Korea is going for another Nexus. And now on Whirlwind, you know, the game is starting to approach the mid to late game. And with this many bases being held down, and really not too many forces have been lost so far, we could be primed for a nice macro game here between these two sides, as the Zerg player is rounding up tier 3, and he looks to be going for Spire as well. So really nice for both these armies. I do think Nooks has caught up a little bit. He needs to maybe win another big engagement before I can give the game a decisive, you know, 50-50. But here we go. Nooks is going to go in for an attack, and this attack is going to occur before the Colossus get out here with extended thermal lance. It looks like we do have one Colossus. Thermal lance now finishing up. A lot of infested Terrans coming up on the high ground, and I like the attack by the Zerg player, really. You know, on his way back on his retreat, he just launches a bunch of infested Terrans to make sure that his Hydras and Roaches are not killed off. And now he's going to go in for a side attack with these Zerglings, and we'll see what they can do. They do not have the crack upgrade, nor do they really have any melee upgrades, so these Zealots, once they warp in, should be able to make mincemeat of them. And the Zerglings running right into the Zergling meat grinder. And looks like Mr. Korea is going to take those out very easily. So Nooks once again with a, you know, an attempt to run by the Protoss corridor, to run behind the Protoss main base and get some damage done, but unfortunately for him, this time was not successful. He is adding on Vipers though, upon seeing the Colossus, and Roach Hydra Viper is one of the best armies that you can get as Zerg now in Heart of the Swarm. If the Vipers can get abducts off on the Colossus, and the Colossus are as good as dead, so it's one way for Protoss to really counter the Vipers is to get Templars. Templars with feedbacks and Templars to storm the Hydras is an excellent way of countering Vipers and Hydra Roaches. So look to see Mr. Korea add on some Templar archives pretty soon here. I mean, he's just got a really nice army. This is akin to the Protoss Deathball that was so popular against Zerg in Wings of Liberty. And of course, you can always add on a Fleet Beacon and start to get carriers and Tempests as well. So it's not over yet. And here comes Mr. Korea. He's going to be taking out these Creep Tumors in the middle of the map. And he's got so much firepower here. He is dealing with a +2/+2 Zerg army. But, you know, with the Colossus and the Void Rays he's got, I think his army you know, is stronger than the Zergs, especially considering he is maxed out here. But we'll have to see how Nooks engages. If he can get a good surround and get some good fungals and abducts off, he might be able to win this fight. Here we go. It looks like Nooks is going to engage. He drops Blinding Clouds down, but the Protoss Stalkers are not under the Blinding Cloud field, and it looks like we didn't have any abducts coming down. A lot of Hydras still alive though, but not enough to deal with this many Void Rays. It looks like great Colossus micro in the back. In fact, that Colossus hasn't taken a single bit of damage. And looks like Mr. Korea showing what Korea does best. That is slaying everybody else. And, you know, he just completely demolished that army. We do have a Nidus coming up on the left-hand side just for, I suppose, quick transport. And right now, Nooks is in a lot of trouble. The one thing, though, that I guess he can feel somewhat comfortable with is he was able to take out a decent chunk of the Protoss army. And because of that, it looks like Mr. Korea is hesitating a little bit to make an attack on a hatchery. So Nooks, with that slight hesitation by the Protoss player, is going to allow, you know, Nooks to go ahead and rebuild his army here. And now that he's remaxed once again, he might just be able to take out this army the second time around. And it looks like he's gotten a great surround with the Zerglings. Roaches and Hydras coming in. We even have a Swarm Host for good measure. Colossus sidestepping to the right-hand side. Reinforcements coming from the bottom. And will it be enough for Nooks to hold on. It doesn't look like it. And that's the power of Korea and Protoss. And not much that Nooks can do about this. I think that this might just be GG here. Barring a miracle, really. And at this point, the Korean Protoss should be pushing in to take out a hatchery. There should be no reason to hesitate. He's right on the front door. You want to continue pushing and not allow the Zerg player to remax his army, but it looks like Nooks getting another great surround with the Cracklings and trying to get rid of these Colossus as well. The Colossus have been pushed away, and they cannot protect the Stalkers, and the Stalkers are all going to go down. Great engagement right there from Nooks. If if the first time doesn't work and the second time doesn't work, then I guess the third time is the charm. And finally, Nooks is able to take out that army, but he ate into a large amount of his surplus. You can see that Mr. Korea here has a 3K bank, near 3K bank, and 1K gas that he's working with. So it looks like Mr. Korea, I mean, he's got such a bigger surplus here. Not too sure why he's continuing to engage when he is not maxed out. It looks like he really wants to press the issue, but this can cause you to lose the game. You need to wait as Protoss until your army is maxed out, and now he's just throwing away his surplus really for no reason at all. He just lost 2 of his Colossus, and Nooks got to be pretty happy about that, now pushing up to 148 supply over 103, but Mr. Korea is still not giving up, continuing to warp in new reinforcements, and now going up to Templar tech. He does have Psionic Storm research as well, but the one, I think, main reason why the Templar are joining the field here is there any Vipers still remaining? No, there isn't. So I guess they are here for Storm duty, but they won't have enough energy for Storm until at least another 10 or 15 seconds, and Mr. Korea would be wise to wait until his Storm is ready on his Templars, and to wait for more reinforcements. I just don't know why he's pressing the issue here against the Zerg players so close to the Zerg's reinforcements, and these Templars are going to get sniped out. They will not be able to do anything. The Roach is easily taking them out. Great control right there from Nooks. And now Nooks will be able to take out the proxy pylon, and he pushes the entire Protoss army back home. And you know, just a great game by Nooks so far. He's taken solid control of this game now. The only thing I've got to say that is kind of going good for the Korean Toss is that he does have, you know, a bunch of expansions here to the bottom left-hand corner. So he was wise to, you know, expand while attacking, but I do feel like the aggression from the Protoss probably wasn't the best idea. And now, you know, these expansions, which I was kind of raving about, are going to go down most likely, unless the Protoss can warp in reinforcements, but the pylon is going to go down, so no reinforcements can come in. Probes here are probably going to want to scatter away and go somewhere else, and this Nexus is going to get taken down. Nooks with an incredible comeback here, and I don't see any way how the Protoss is going to be able to hang on to this expansion. The Nexus is going to fall, and now the best option for the Protoss player is to try to surround these Roaches. Do not allow them to run back home, but unfortunately he hesitates for a little bit too long, and these Roaches and Zerglings are going to scurry on back. And not a good setup so far for the Protoss player. He needs to make sure this expansion over here on the left-hand side, the last remaining new expo, needs to stay alive. It cannot go down no matter the cost. I think right now, as far as it goes, I don't think that Nooks knows about that expansion over there. So Nooks is at a slight disadvantage with regards to his intelligence, his recon. But his army is just massive right now, 198 supply, and he just added on an Ultralisk Cavern as well. So we could be seeing Ultras coming out momentarily, guys, and Ultras are, I mean, against a Protoss ground army, Ultras just rip everything down. Archons are really the only unit that can stand toe-to-toe with them, and even then, it's kind of a little bit biased, I think, in favor of the Ultras. When those Ultras come out, I think that Mr. Korea might want to consider, you know, switching back into his Sky Army, maybe adding on Carriers and Tempests are a great way to counter Ultras. But we'll see what happens. He is sticking down with his ground, and he is going to go in both sides, +3/+3, and Great Storm's coming down, but the Fungal Growth's also amazing from Nooks, but the Fungal will not be enough, and it looks like this time Mr. Korean Protoss is going to slay the Zerg army. And even though Nooks had a great engagement, I mean, perfect that the army was on the creep, perfect surround in the open field, and amazing fungal growth, it was not enough to stop the Protoss fireball that is the Archons, the Storms, and the Colossus. And that's the thing, I guess, just in the late game, it's very hard to deal with a large Protoss army, but in a way, it's okay because Nooks has a massive bank, and now he can remax on Ultralisks. And I don't know why he's only making 2 Ultras right now. It looks like he remaxed on Zergling, Roach, Hydra, and he just added on the Ultras as an afterthought. But really, if he had just pumped out, you know, 15 ultras right there, which I think he could have afforded. I don't know if Mr. Korean Protoss would have been able to stop that type of army. But regardless, you know, Nooks is maxed out. It might not be on the best type of army, but he does have a nice, well-rounded balance here. And if he can get another good surround, I think this time around he should be able to win the fight. The Templars do have a lot of energy though, and here comes the storms. Oh my god, these storms are gonna rip these Hydras apart. And that is why I think when you're in the late game as Zerg, you gotta remax on Ultralisks or, you know, Broodlord Infestor, not on more Roaches and Hydras. And I think that Nooks kind of throwing away the edge that he had there for a moment. He is gonna remax on 35 Roaches though, but then again, I don't know, maybe Roaches are not bad. You know, they're quite a sturdy unit, but I do feel like Ultras would have been the better option. We'll see what happens here. The one thing is Roaches, they come out much faster than Ultras do, and right now he needs units. He cannot wait for his Ultralisk to come out. He needs to save this hatchery. Will his Roaches be able to do the job or not? The Stalkers with Blink trying to get away here, and it looks like another Storm coming down. Storm not as effective on Roaches as they are on Hydras, but it still helps whittle down the Roaches' HP, and these Stalkers, great micro right there from Mr. Korea, just blinking the weakened Stalkers to the back. And I think he's gonna have enough to win this fight. The thing is, will he have enough time to kill off this hatchery and escape with his Stalkers intact? I don't know. More cracklings are continuing to stream in. These Zerglings are at 3-1 with adrenal glands, and that is going to be enough to stop these Stalkers. And it looks like Mr. Korea is now going to have to pull back. A couple of Queens coming out there as well. Not too sure what they think they were, but they're just Queens. And more reinforcements coming out here for the Korean Protoss. He does have more Stalkers. Both armies, you know, at 114 and 151 supply, so not even close to maxed. But now the Ultras are coming out, and Stalkers do not like fighting Ultras. They do have one edge over them, and that is agility. They can continue to blink and stay away from them and try to focus fire the Ultralisks down. But I think Mr. Korea here would probably be better served just getting the hell out of there and waiting for more reinforcements. I don't think trying to fight Ultras head on is the best idea. And so there we go. It looks like he is going to pull back, although there is one Ultra here that could be sniped off if Mr. Korea wanted to. He is leading this army right into the position of his new expansion, which I don't know if that was the best idea, because now Nooks probably knows that there is an expansion there, and he will need to focus his forces to go ahead and take that out. Although at this point in the game, it is 31 minutes in, so you've got to assume that your opponent has these expos down in the bottom corner, and might even assume that there's a Nexus here as well. In fact, I do think that Mr. Korea is planning to make another Nexus, and there we go. It is going to be coming up momentarily. The supplies here at 150, 168 to 159, with Mr. Korea taking a slight lead. Their units lost 32k to 42k, and let's go ahead and check some of these other tabs. I mean, it is a very close game. It's gone back and forth the last 15 minutes or so, and I can't really give a decided edge to either side. One thing I will say is the Korean Protoss does have the supply lead, and, well, that just changed all of a sudden with 7 Ultras coming out. So there we go. This is what I was waiting for the Zerg to do, is to max out on a huge Ultralisk army, and that, I think, is going to be the way he takes out this Protoss ground. We'll see. 7 Ultras coming out here to join the 2 already on the field, and the random amount of Roaches and Hydras as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hatcheries to 6 Nexi. 32-minute game. Upgrades are maxed across the board except for flyers, which are at +1/+1 weapons, but really neither side is going for air forces anymore. As you know, the Protoss said, forget going air, I'm just going to stick with ground. And Nooks never really used his Spire. So here we go. It looks like he is going to go for a bit of a side attack here with some of his army to try to take out the probes, and it looks like he will be able to kill off a nice number of probes there. And the Nexus is going to fall as well. 41 probes remain, putting the Protoss down to only 45 harvesters. Nice little attack right there from Nooks. And the Protoss player kind of late on the reinforcements, trying to come in and save his army. It looks like he should have enough. I don't know actually if he'll have enough to win this battle, because the Hydras are pulling up to the high ground, which is very smart. But here comes the Templars and their Storm, and that is going to be able to rip through. Oh man, the last Storm right there coming down and just annihilating those Hydralisks. And so I guess Mr. Korea, they're winning the battle in terms of army versus army, but he did lose a Nexus, so it's an even trade, I feel. And here comes those 7 or so Ultras just barreling down the middle of the field. And of course, the Korean Protoss army is all the way on the western side of the map, so he is out of position right now. And these Ultras could look to do a lot of damage. It looks like they're going to try to steamroll their way into the main base. Pretty risky play right here from Nooks, because these Ultras could easily be caught out of position, and then they're just going to all die. I'm surprised he just decided to send all these Ultras down to the bottom to the natural expansion, and then furthermore into the main base. I mean, they are going to be able to kill off a Nexus, but is it worth it? All you really gain there is not allowing the Protoss to go and chrono boost a few of their buildings, because these Nexi are basically worthless now. There's no more gas to be harvested. There's no more minerals to be made. I'm not sure I agree with Nooks' decision there. More Zealots coming into these Roaches and Zerglings. They are going to be taken out. And what a game this is so far. We do have a little bit of a skirmish going on there. More skirmishes going on the left-hand side of the map, as both players are now vying for the neutral resources that remain on Whirlwind. We do have a Protoss army now pushing into the middle of the map. I will say that the Korean Protoss army is not looking that big here. He's only got about 134 supply, so what happened, Mr. Korea? But your army is not very large at all, and Nooks is maxed at 196. Could be a function of the fact that he lost so many harvesters earlier on, and now he's not making all that much money anymore. He really needs to transfer all of his remaining probes to the new expansions mining on the western side of Whirlwind, and make sure that he make sure that he's got full saturation there. It looks like he just doesn't have enough probes because he lost about 15 or 20 to that side attack earlier on. So this is a bad situation for the Protoss player. And Nooks here, he's got Broodlords as well. When did he make those? Broodlords now on the field, and not too sure if Mr. Korea is going to have enough, but he gets a lot of great storms here. Amazing storms coming down, but the problem is he doesn't have enough storm to finish off the Hydras. Although he will have enough to kill off the Broodlords, he won't have enough to finish off the Hydras. He should have focused a couple of the storms on the Roaches and Hydras instead. And I think the storm placement there kind of hurting Mr. Korea a little bit. If he had just launched 2 or 3 storms on the Roaches and Hydras, then he could have warped in some Blinkstalkers and then morphed his Templars into Archons to try to take out the Broodlords that remain. But now he's got to fight these Roaches and Hydras. Will he have enough? He's trying to hold the high ground here, warping in additional reinforcements. Nooks just pulling back his Hydras to the remaining Broodlords. More cracklings coming in as well. I think this could be GG, ladies and gentlemen. I think Nooks, aka MYI Sony, might just have this game in the bag. A really nice StarCraft 2 match there, showing you guys some other tabs here, APM and spending and whatnot. Beautiful game by both of these players, very high level. Once again, the Protoss player 1100 Masters, and MYI Sony, player that I've been casting on my YouTube channel a couple times here, showing his grit on the Korean server and doing a pretty good job. Just gotta close out this game now. I don't really know if the Korean can hold on for much longer. He is gonna call GG. He was defeated, and Nooks was victorious. Hope you guys enjoyed this game. A nice brawl there, 39-minute StarCraft 2 Heart of the Storm match. And if you guys like what you see, make sure to subscribe. I'm on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at HD Starcraft. I'll have another video coming out for you guys. And for now, this is HD signing out.